2.
We tipped it over.
1.
What?
I started,
That's wrong.
because there's a delay.
That's wrong.
There's a delay sometimes, I always, sometimes I
thought
miss the
that now
beginning.
7.
Okay, it's 7. Woo-hoo.
Are you ready?
Ready.
You are, okay. All right, well, welcome to the Village of Webster Board meeting for November 22nd, 2022. And if you would stand with me for the pledge, Carl, would you read it, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Seated. And this evening, we do not have anything prior to our public comment, as I believe we will have at the next meeting. I think we have an audit report at the next meeting. But we'll start off with public comment. Anybody would like to come to the podium to address the board with a comment at this particular time, we would entertain that. No?
I can talk a rope for all the people that are coming up.
Yeah.
One at a time, one at a time.
All right. Well, then I will close the public comment portion of the meeting. And we will move to a regular established or scheduled agenda. And that first item on the agenda tonight is the approval of minutes from the November 10th meeting.
You've got trustee Belkane both present and absent.
Which is interesting.
Ah, sorry.
I was just going to mention that.
Well, he did technically came in at the end.
Didn't he have a vote?
Well, you
I
should,
marked when he entered,
Yeah.
so I
well, you
apologize. I'll take that
should,
off.
you should note when he entered the meeting.
I did, so I will take it off the top. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I meant to do that.
Right, you do have to please note, I see that over the motion number 6 there.
Got it.
I'm under the DPW and sewer, said Jake gave a brief update, that's not possible.
It should be just Jake gave an update.
Sorry, Jake.
Played a good game.
Look good to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make it.
I'll second it.
Trustee Alito?
Aye.
Trustee Lauer?
Aye.
Mayor Barnes?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Second item on our agenda tonight is a resolution to approve the claims and warrants.
I went through them, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary.
I looked them over myself, and I did not find anything that I would bring up tonight. I think Judy had also looked at them.
She did.
Unless there's something that stands out,
No.
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
I will second it.
Trustee Lauer?
Aye.
Trustee Alito?
Aye.
Mayor Barnes?
Aye.
No one wants to ask anything about bolts or nails or anything?
Let's not get them started.
Sorry.
All right, now we'll go in correct order. Next item on the agenda is a resolution to adopt seeker resolution of the Village of Webster Board of Trustees concerning the adoption of the proposed local law number 9, 2022, entitled, quote, board attendance by video conference to allow, unquote, to allow board members to attend meetings by video conferencing. This provides this would allow board members to attend meetings by video conferencing, and it's not an action. Is not an action under New York State Environmental Quality. Is not an action under New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, which is secret, and as such is precluded from the environmental review under the Environmental Conservation Law. I guess we can have a motion to approve.
I'll make it.
I'll second it.
Trustee Alito?
Aye.
Trustee Lauer?
Aye.
Mayor Barnes?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And therefore, approving that motion, seeker does not apply. We move on directly now to the resolution of the Village of Webster Board of Trustees to adopt the proposed local law. Number 9 of 2022 of the Village of Webster entitled, quote, Board Attendance by Video Conferencing, Local Law of 2022. This is a local law that would permit the Village of Webster Board of Trustees to authorize its members and other village board and committee members to attend meetings by video conferencing under extraordinary circumstances. And we had actually discussed them at length. Extraordinary circumstances shall be defined as disability, illness, caregiving responsibilities, or any other significant and unexpected factor or event that precludes the member's physical attendance at such meetings.
Is they all on video?
Right now?
Can't yet.
And the state law, I believe, provides you're supposed to self-report in advance of the meeting what your extraordinary circumstances are to justify attending by video conference.
And who makes that decision?
It's self-reported.
Right, so I reported to Daryl, and Daryl says, okay. And that's
Daryl
done.
really doesn't need to say okay or not. It's on you. If you're fibbing, lying,
You
you know,
simply report live.
you will pay the penalty down the road.
The police will make you come.
It's not subject to, it is self-reported.
Very loose.
Yeah.
Well, because how is Daryl supposed to know? If you say you're sick, what is he supposed to do? Go to your house or get a note from your doctor or whatever? He's got to trust that what you're telling the truth, right?
Send parking enforcement out?
And it's his duties. No, I'm just kidding, we're good.
Yeah.
I get-
So
yeah.
I think that's why they did it that way,
Right.
because
Okay.
So it's self-enforcing, basically.
but you're supposed to send something in writing, an email or something in advance of the meeting explaining.
That is at least the documentation.
Right, so that it could be, the clerk can put it in the minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and if later on you're found to be out, you know, dancing or hanging out in a bar or something like that, you may have an issue come the next, you know, if you try to seek re-election or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Suppose something like we were planning on coming back from Florida, and my wife was in urgent care on Saturday, could have been admitted, but we drove back. But I suppose that would be
That would
a
have
circumstance
been-
that would be,
Yep.
you know, I just have to report that.
Assuming you had caregiving responsibilities for your wife. But nobody's going to question whether you do or don't, so you just say, I didn't take care of it. Couldn't attend the meeting.
Don't show your beach pictures on Facebook.
And
Cross
at
games.
some point, the village board of trustees are supposed to adopt some rules of written procedure to
That would be,
further define things,
that
but,
would be section 25.5.
yeah.
Okay.
But I think again, I'm just from memory, the suggested written procedures basically just mimicked what's already what's in the statute anyhow. So I don't know. I suppose if you wanted to further define or add something to the extraordinary circumstances, you could do that.
I think we'll be just fine the way it is.
Okay. So, the motion is on the floor to approve the proposed local law number 9.
Sir, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Trustee Alito?
Aye.
Trustee Lauer?
Aye.
Mayor Barnes?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next we have certificate of surrender. This is a resolution to approve the 2022 village tax surrender. Marcia was not able to be here this evening, but the unpaid village tax is $28,747.75 with accumulated interest of $4,699.82. And the returned amount is $33,447.57. So the surrender of this unpaid village tax due to the county, and it has been submitted to them. We will need to sign this according to the account of unpaid taxes, including interest, through October 31st, has been so compared and found to be correct, as Marcia indicated. The total amount of the unpaid tax, including accumulated interest, is $33,447.57. And so, I can make a motion to approve this. We'll pass this on to be signed.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Alito?
Aye.
Trustee Lauer?
Aye.
Mayor Barnes?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I wonder what's up with North Towns Apartments. They owe about half of the tax, $15,654.
Look, they were on it before too.
Yeah.
No, it's 200 railroad. Those are the newer ones. No. They were owned by,
Oh, yes.
what's his name, they got in all sort of trouble when they got out of Morgan. But I don't know if these were some that he sold or not.
This was in phase 1, that was quite a while.
Yeah.
Phase 1.
Yeah, this is phase 2, but I think he still did phase 2 also.
Tom's Garage.
Yeah, but he didn't do much at all. Kind of weird way to do it, isn't it?
Gadsby Helen, she's passed away.
At least there are no village trustees on the list, so that's good.
That's a good one.
I knew that's why I didn't come tonight.
So, I think we need a motion to approve, resolution here to approve the tax surrender.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Wait, who said it?
Oh yeah, we already did that.
Did we?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was me then, Carl.
We got that.
And then,
Yeah.
and then we sign it.
Does the price go down if you approve it twice?
I do need everybody to sign, so I will need the other board members to sign.
Okay.
Okay, so you seek them out.
Next, we have a resolution to authorize the village treasurer, Marcia, to request a 25% advance of the village's $203,130 Brownfield Opportunity Area Study Award. It would be a total amount of $50,782.50 from the New York Department of State. So, this is, I understand that the costs incurred and paid from the advance will be documented in subsequent payment requests, and that the payment will be reduced by the amount of the advance.
I believe it's going to be used to get the engineers, the people that are actually going to do the study on board.
I think so. Does she have to fill out anything? I don't see anything on here, I didn't see it.
There's a form that she has to fill out.
Oh, there's
I
a form
included it in here,
that
yes.
goes along with it,
Yep,
that
it's
gives the explanation of it.
this thing, oh, not really.
You're just talking about the voucher?
Okay.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, that doesn't say much of anything.
Well, you do know what it's for.
Yeah, you know.
The letter before says, the village of Webster hereby requests a 25% advance payment in the amount of that amount from the Brownfield Opportunity. We understand that costs incurred and paid from the advance must be documented. It must just be what they require.
All right, well, I have a motion to approve this advance payment.
Make that motion.
I'll sit here.
Trustee Lauer?
Aye.
Trustee Alito?
Aye.
Mayor Byers?
Aye. Next, we have a item here. We have general fund budget modifications, as well as a sewer budget modification. And we'll lump them together, but I'll go down through them. First of all, to reclass 2 fireproof filing cabinets to public safety and budget for plotter lease payments. Marcia's been instructed that out of office supplies, it should be more specific, such as out of equipment. It should be more specific in terms of what the money from equipment is going to be specifically used for, as well as in contingency there in the third item, the shade trees. So it basically is because she's been asked for.
From MMB.
Right.
That was for the next
more
one.
specific.
Shade trees equipment.
So the next one is properly budget the loader lease payments from equipment. The auditor says that you can't hide the debt and principal and interest on this in this general fund of equipment. So, and the third one, under contingency for the bandit wood chipper, it needs to be specifically under shade trees equipment, what it's specifically used for. So in the first item, the office supplies, it would be a reduction of $2,010, and it would be moved to AA 362200, $2,010. In the second item here, for the loader lease payments, it would be taken from $40,757.95 from equipment and moved to installment purchase, debt principal, $38,351.22, and installment purchase debt interest of $2,406.73. And the third item is for the purchase of the bandit wood chipper, which will be a real plus for the DPW, as their current wood chipper is ailing, I believe. And that will come from contingency, $10,000, and being moved to shade trees equipment of $10,000. And then under sewer, budget modification, to adjust equipment sales revenue to show that under the sale of equipment, which was for a flush truck, I believe, a van, and one other item, the amount received for the sale of those items was $19,000, which I believe was more than anticipated, and that will be moved to contingency, $19,000. So those are the general and sewer budget modifications. Are there any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Trustee Lauer?
Aye.
Trustee Alito?
Aye.
Okay. Mayor Byers?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right. You have in front of you the budget to actual report. I don't know if we need to go over it, but it is for your information to take a look at where we are currently in the year in terms of our proposed budget for the year and what we have. Okay, question, Jay?
Thank you.
Okay, the last item that we have for our general meeting is resolution to set a public hearing. We have a proposed local law number 10 entitled "A Local Law to Amend the Code of the Village of Webster as it relates to the collection of refuse." First of all, I believe in terms of conditions of licensing, collection of refuse within the village shall be limited to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, unless the collection day is altered for 1 week to accommodate a holiday schedule. And secondly, to amend section 127.25B, the haulers, by the addition of the following: haulers which provide covered totes with a capacity no less than 36 gallons are authorized the option to collect recyclables every other week on the same day as solid waste collection. Provided, however, that the notification of such a change be communicated to the customers no less than 30 days prior to such change. So, these are the two items, and it is our responsibility here to pass a resolution of the Webster Board of Trustees to set a public hearing concerning a proposed local law number 10 to amend certain provisions of the code of the Village of Webster as it relates to the collection of refuse.
7:05.
Pardon?
7:05.
7:05?
Yeah.
Time. The hearing.
Oh,
I think normally, don't we set those for 7:15?
Yes, but it always messes up the agenda, so it's easier just to do it
Oh,
separately. If that's okay.
You certainly can do that.
Thank you. 12:08.
Okay, so therefore, be it resolved that a public hearing on said proposed local law number 10 shall be held on the day, I think that we will be looking at December, so that will be the 8th day of December, at 7:05.
Thank you.
We'll modify that. At 7:05 p.m. at the Community Meeting Hall, 29 South Avenue, Webster. The time and place of such hearing that describes in general terms the proposed local law shall be published in the Webster Herald, the official paper of the Village of Webster, okay? And a newspaper of general circulation in said village. So I would ask, I guess, regarding this, that we have a motion to set the public hearing for the 8th day of December at 7:05.
I'll make that motion. I like this.
I'll second it.
Things are running around the village all week.
Trustee Lauer?
Aye.
Trustee Alito?
Aye.
Mayor Byers?
Aye.
Motion Motion passes.
I would ask, however, make a note that I'm not sure who is voting on the motion as being present. Darrell Byers, D-A-R-R-E-L-L, present, but voting on this is D-A-R-R-Y-L. It's a pseudo name, but it shouldn't be used here. Oh, well, let me know.
Nice.
However, I approve.
Mayor Byers, I have a update from Marcia.
Okay?
She said, we can ask for some reimbursement up front. Matt Chatfield said it would help to move things along and get things done faster. So that was the purpose of asking for the 25%.
So it's available then, you can
Yeah,
pay for what?
yes.
Absolutely. Okay, so that meeting is, that is set for our next meeting. And I think I like that. Okay, we're now moving to Aaron. I haven't heard from you in a while, so.
You did a resolution?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna, with all due respect to Jake, I changed the local law slightly. And so I'll email it to you. You gotta get it to the trustees, because they're supposed to sit on their desk for 7 days before they can do anything with it, which will be
Okay,
prior to December 8th. And you gotta get the legal notice to the Herald this week to get the 5 days notice.
I think the cutoff might already be, because,
Holiday.
for next week, you mean?
It's gotta get published by next week's
Next week,
paper.
okay, yeah. Just for
Next
this
week's
week, it's
paper.
too late, but,
Well, this week it comes, suppose it comes out on Thanksgiving, it'll probably show up on Friday. But
okay, next week.
but it's gotta be published in next week's paper.
Okay, and then I have a question for you.
So I don't know what, because like for 1 week to accommodate the holiday schedule. What's a holiday schedule? It should be just to accommodate a holiday. I don't know what a holiday schedule is.
Well, the refuse companies have holiday schedules.
Well, if they'll also have a holiday, right? They give their guys a day off on a holiday, right? So why not just say a holiday? To accommodate a holiday.
Okay, so
Let's
you're gonna
see.
get me that?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, so then we gotta update the public hearing notice too, or is that,
No,
Okay.
because that's just a summary of the local
oh, I don't have to send the whole thing?
law.
Okay.
What? Pardon me?
I thought I had to send the whole thing.
Is this your first day in the band?
Kidding.
Oh, the joke kind of went,
Jake got it. Jake got my joke. He's fine. But I'm done. For a notice of adoption, do I have to do that for proposed local law number 9 to send to the Herald? Because I don't have one of those. Is that
no,
required?
that's only for zoning laws.
Okay. Okay. I sent a 10-pager to the Herald. Oops.
So Don, we need to wait on this?
No, I guess as long as it gets published next week, you do it on the 8th.
I'll send, if you send it to me tomorrow, I'll send it to them tomorrow.
You already have the,
You said you have to change it.
no, I'm not changing the notice. I'm changing the proposed local law that you have to get to the trustees.
Okay.
It's not in the notice for the public hearing. The law is not set out verbatim in there. In the notice, you only need to put a summary of the proposal.
I got you, I'll write it down for her, she will good.
Okay.
I mean, I'll send that to the Herald
I'll
and send the
second
updated local law to the board.
There you go.
You got that.
Good job.
Where's Marshall?
Okay.
I don't know. I put her name
You seconded it, so Jerry, did you,
down. Marcia's watching from home. Sorry. She's just recording.
did you make?
Yes, I said.
You're seconding it?
Yes.
I second it.
You seconded it, okay. So,
I already got it. You already voted. Okay.
So you have that too.
Got it.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm with it. I'm with you. I'm with you.
it's a local law.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I like that law because
You do.
there are a number of things that are not taken care of on that Monday through Wednesday. But what kind of teeth do we have in this?
What if someone puts all their stuff out and then they go to Florida?
Well, that's,
Neighbors put it in. You have good neighbors.
that's already part of the whole solid waste thing. It says you gotta have it back by the day after it gets picked up or
I
something.
believe, yeah, like 6 p.m.
And if they don't comply, then you sick the code enforcement officer on somebody.
Could give you a garbage ticket.
Yeah.
You get a garbage ticket.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this local law is essentially just codifying what's been the past practice of the village, which is limiting pickup to Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays.
Yeah, so it's not every day.
And people don't really use those blue boxes anymore. Instead, you get a separate tote for recyclables, which the current
Not
local.
from Waste Management.
Well, you should switch haulers then. The current local
They
law
all-
only addresses blue boxes. So Jake, it's a good idea to let the haulers know it's okay to use a toter in lieu of a blue box.
And I think the biggest part of it is some of them were going to every other week for recyclable pickups.
Yes,
And-
that's why I give you a token.
Yeah, so I think, well, we want to make sure that that was in line with what our code said.
It still doesn't stop that people, well, maybe does, if the person rips their bathroom out, remodels it on Sunday, brings everything to the curb, and their garbage is picked up Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, that's gonna be out there all week. It is what it is, right?
Well, maybe they shouldn't bring it to the curb.
Or they leave it in the middle of the drive, I mean,
Well, a lot of people get those bagsters, and they have to be within a certain distance of the road, or something similar, you know, where they can just pick them up in the waste.
if he's gonna be out giving tickets out, I hide all my stuff in my leaves, and then he'll take the leaves off. Yeah. All right.
No tickets.
All right.
So,
There.
Document.
Yeah.
we have a public hearing. Scheduled. All right.
Don't bring that up again, she'll start covering.
And I think maybe those questions will be generated and
Did it?
I was just going to clarify.
No, you're fine.
clarified.
You're fine, I'm just teasing.
Aaron, I'm sorry to have taken away from you.
For the okay, sir.
It's fine, you didn't get us an
That
answer.
was my evening amusement. It's the time of the year that permits start slowing down just because, well, the economy and the time of year. 10 permits, complaints, roughly 12, could have been a little bit more. Update on 235 Dunning. He's been keeping in contact with me. He got rid of the vehicle, and he has been removing some of the items. He still has a ways to go, but he is keeping in touch with me, and I gave him an extension till the 28th, which I will go and check. And I'm doubtful that it'll all be gone, but I told him if I see a good chunk of it gone, I will not issue an appearance ticket.
Progress.
As long as I see progress, that's what I care about, and not just 1 or 2 items gone. Significant progress. So he's aware of that, so I'll check it on Monday the 28th, and we'll go from there. Legal, as you guys just heard, we're still working on local law updates. Certificate of compliance has issued 1, certificate of police, certificate of occupancy was 1, compliance was 3. My report doesn't include temporary CFOs. The state report that we do in this program that we have doesn't do temporary CFOs. So, I mean, there's several of those. I mean, roughly 5 or 6 temporary CFOs that have been issued to Greenbrier to account for, you know, a lot of that. It's not in there. Greenbrier, speaking of Greenbrier, they're continuing ahead of schedule. The road was just paved yesterday and today, that leads all the way up to 250. That's all part of phase 2. And as reported, last month it's slowed down, again, because of the time of year and the economy. Tessie Plastics has started to work on their buildings. They're actually doing the roofs now that they pulled the permits for. And we just actually did some inspections there today of like 75 exit signs to make sure that they're all lit, so they can have their CVO, so they can start occupying their buildings. That's really about it. Anybody have any questions?
I'm sorry? I had a question. The road.
Yep.
Paved out to 250.
Yep.
Is that just a rough paving? They'll finish that?
Yeah, they'll do the rough, or they'll do the finished paving after all construction is completed. It matches the roads that are already in there. I mean, it's nice, and it looks like it's a finished road, but the only way you can really probably tell to the normal person is that there's a lip where the gutters are, where they just put a top coat on. So, and then, like I said, they're not gonna do that until they're done with the complex, and they'll go through and do that.
Thank you. Aaron?
Absolutely.
John?
Good job, Jake.
I decided to adjourn the application for the extension of the non-conforming use for the wastewater treatment plant because this evening, one zoning board member for the town is sick and another one had what I originally thought was a conflict of interest, but Josh Arturo clarified it, a scheduling conflict, they had to be somewhere else. So there was only going to be 3 people there. And that would have required a unanimous vote. And I don't know if any of you have been down Route 250 across the street from the wastewater treatment plant, but there is a large sign that Michael Kahn has put up there. This is the sign. It says, "Sewage hauler, tanker trucks coming back," with a big arrow pointing across the street. So I anticipate that at a minimum the Kahns are going to be there. And who knows how many of their neighbors they're going to try to get there. But given that, I didn't want to risk trying to get a unanimous vote. So it's adjourned to the 13th of December, where all 5 members, assuming no one's sick, are supposed to be present. And that won't, according to Matt Higgins, it shouldn't materially affect the project schedule, but of course that assumes you get the approval from the town, because without that, there is no project.
Which is interesting. Well, at least then you'll have an opportunity, to present as to where our proposed reception site will be, give details on it.
Well, and then the Kahns are being a bit disingenuous because the settlement agreement specifically allows for the septic receiving station in a building, and it's being built according to the specifications that were agreed on in the settlement. You know, it was conditioned upon the village not being able to construct a septic receiving station off-site at a cost $100,000 less than what it would cost to do it at the plant. We went all through that with Labella, and it was going to be way more expensive to go off-site than there. So, you know, he's complaining about the trucks, but as part of the settlement, he basically agreed that the trucks eventually could come back. So, you know, I'll explain all that to the board if Mr. Kahn shows up and starts complaining about septic trucks again. You know, it's like Jake, kind of tongue in cheek, but he can't have it both ways. You know, if otherwise we could say, all right, well then we'll just void the settlement and the village can start composting leaves over there again, which was the main focus of their lawsuit was the composting, not really the septic structures.
Would they have to pay the money back?
Would they have, it's never gonna happen, so let's not even talk about that. Yeah, good luck trying to get the money back.
Nah.
That would never happen. So anyhow, other than that, I don't have anything. As the mayor saw, the town did approve the IMA with the village for the ready grant on the sandbar, so this board needs to approve it. Whether you want to do it tonight or wait is up to you. I don't think either the town or the village are in a position to submit for reimbursement from the state anyhow, so there's not a huge rush on it. Because they're still waiting for final work to get done and final bills to come in and get paid.
Personally, I,
Oh, and one last thing, I did have an exchange, no, I actually had a telephone conversation with Charlie Genesi, the town attorney, and the town has agreed that the IMA for the outfall pipe into Lake Ontario, any costs associated with that pipe, joint costs, are going to be apportioned 1/3, 2/3, just like the 1979 agreement, rather than the 50/50 that they proposed. So that was,
which
that
I
was
think.
good.
That's a good, it's good.
Yeah, so, as soon as we get some more detail on there, what the town needs for its sampling point structure, whatever's going to be built, we can put that IMA together and get that.
That'd be good.
Yeah. And we need I guess the town's going to have their engineers put something together to describe what it is that they're seeking so that we can, because Charlie and I really wouldn't know how to phrase that. But we don't want to give them just a blank check. We want to know exactly what, because the village is paying for it all,
But, now,
what it is they're going to do.
will Jake have opportunity to be
Yeah.
part of that
Yes,
conversation?
yeah. Jake already has, well, I'll let him speak for himself, but he's already met with the town's our patron, and they've with themselves agreed on what's got to happen, but it's got to, the town needs to have the engineers actually design it.
You know, the downside structure is, it's really a below, a subgrade structure, something below. Their new outfall pipe from their plant over to the combined location is a buried pipe now. It used to be a channel. It's a buried pipe, and there just has to be an access made there where they're going to put the sampling tube. This building itself, the sample building, is effectively a shed. That sampler that comes straight out of there just has to move over, 15 or 20 feet. That's one of the things the engineer's going to weigh in on, and it's really going to be, either there's a manhole there, or there's some sort of box or something constructed over it with a grate where they'd have access to where the sample, the tubing picks up the sample from, because that requires some maintenance and that and observation, so they just need access to that, so.
So, assuming we're all in agreement on that, which, so the village is going to pay for both the engineering and the actual construction. Charlie wanted me to basically give him the okay so that the town can get Barton and
I just always say B&L.
Yeah.
It's Lejudas, I think.
yeah, they want to get their engineers designing it now so that we can get the, so we can put it in the IMA and.
Yep.
So I'm with the understanding that the village is paying for that engineering work, even though we don't have the IMA done yet. I think we gotta let the town give them the okay to start it, right? You all agree?
I agree.
I think you did make a comment, or one of the two of you, suggestion was to use some of the funds that we had available, although we're tying it into the cost of the project.
Yeah, I just had a question whether this cost is covered by the grant or not. It's, the cause of it is because the village is upgrading its own plant, getting its own speedies permit, so I would think it should be covered under the grant, but that was a question, I don't know the answer to that.
And I haven't got reached out to Matt for a response on that one yet. I would assume it's part of the whole project within the description is, those fees from this part of it, so
Shouldn't
I
have.
assume it would go
Yeah,
through.
so whatever the village's cost is, hopefully it could get paid out of the grant.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, so we'll get going on that, so, and we just need to know, hopefully we'll get the approval on December 13th, and at that point, pretty much be, no more obstacles. We'll get the guy made down
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Don.
there.
And anything from the clerk's office?
Nope.
Clerk's
Thank you.
office? Nope, okay. DPW and sewer.
Got a few things, I'm gonna use the clerk's time as well.
In that case, I take it back.
Right.
The, I couldn't read my own handwriting here. There was a question last night, just want to give an update of the last meeting about the window tint on the new STP truck. That was because they do store equipment in the back of it, as I indicated then, but one of those pieces of equipment is a sewer camera. And so when they're looking at it in the back of the truck, it's nice to have the window so they can actually see what's on the camera. It's in the back seat of the truck, so they just in the back seat area, so they can look in there. So that was what that was. But it was a very good question, because it does seem like something that's outside of the ordinary. The Ready grant, the sandbar wells are capped, plugged, buildings are gone, the slabs are gone, they're backfilled. I'm gonna meet with the property owner, set up something with them just to see the final disposition. I know, talking to the engineers, they had talked and they wanted some restoration, just gravel on the first couple of them and then the topsoil on the other ones, because they're in, parking areas or grassy areas. But at this point in the year or two, it's gonna go through freeze and thaw, it's gonna settle anyway. I'd almost rather address it once in the springtime, and just, it's gonna be kind of relatively minor where those things are. So I wanna go over those with her, but that's about complete finally. But the STP, I just talked about that, and that's what I had, information about that. We were gonna say we met about the outfall pipe, and that's progressing. The final leaf run, the guys have been around, they're on their 9th run now, and doing a great job. They're, like I said, they're doing a great job. The weather's doing a great job cooperating with us, so everything's falling into place pretty well. So we're gonna do the last leaf run on starting Monday, the 28th. So if people have them out there Sunday evening, Monday morning before we start, we could drive by. If they're there when we drive by, they will be picked up. But that's where our plan is to do the last leaf run next week.
Jake, sorry, what time did you say?
The 28th.
At
I mean, 8 in the morning, I mean, if they're, we're not picking them all up at once, but if they're out there at that time, because we follow the same route continuously, and our goal is to always go through the entire village once a week. Sometimes it's a stretch when it's really heavy out, but if it was a normal, hey, we're just starting for the first time, we'd start what we have 6 different areas in the village, we'd start in west, but they may be in the middle of the Chance track, when they finish tomorrow, so that's where we're gonna pick back up when we start. It's right where, so everybody, it's always the same time in between pickups. We don't start every Monday back in west. Be a long time in between for some of the others, so. And then one last thing, I didn't know if Aaron was gonna do, local law, as much as I hate to get into double digits, local law 11, is what this other folder is, we're gonna have to look at, and Aaron can probably speak to it. I know he went to the Flavoa meeting, and it's really a code enforcement thing, but they changed, what is it, New York Consolidated with Code Rules and Regulations or something like that? NYCRR, I forget what that stands for, but they changed the part of the code rules that regulate code enforcement, I'm probably saying it wrong, but code enforcement or the enforcement of the uniform code, the energy code, and things like that. As a result, we have to look at what our code is and probably adopt another local law to update it to some of the requirements that they put in with that Department of State, updated new part 1203, or, yeah, 1203.
Yeah.
So, long story short, we got a big packet of stuff here, we've got to look at our code, and then probably have another one, hopefully it'll probably ultimately end up being local law 1 of 2023, I'm assuming by the time everything goes through, but that's going to be on the books, the model law is 36 pages.
Yeah, I didn't go through it in detail because it's 36 pages long, but at first glance, it looks like it's got everything in there that chapter 30 of our code does. So
Yep.
I was thinking, if you guys agree, the easiest thing might be just to scrap the existing chapter 30 and just go with the
Adopt theirs.
adopt theirs. But I'll leave that up to the two of you after you spend some time
Decipher a little bit.
because you're gonna have to sit them side by side and
Yeah, that's what we have.
and go through it.
There are some things that there's alternatives for, if there's things that we want to exclude from a requirement for a building permit. If there's certain things that you want to exclude, you can do that. There's alternatives 1 and 2. And there's another section there I just underlined when I was starting to review. Unsafe buildings and structures, it requires us to make to make reference to another local law that establishes a local government's procedure for identifying and addressing unsafe. But I believe we did that a few years ago with the last change, but I just got to see where we're going to be in, we address that in here, so. But, I'm glad Don's there. Because there's a lot of, we're going to get it started, I think, and I'll hand it off.
Yeah, basically, the substantive provisions of the New York State Uniform Building and Fire Code, individual municipalities don't have to adopt it, even though the village does have a little blurb that it does because it's state law, so you have no choice. It's the law across the state for every municipality. But they leave it, the way they do it though is they leave enforcement up to the individual localities. You can opt out of that and then it forces it on the county, but that's really not appropriate in Monroe County. Some of the more rural counties, they do it that way. But so this addresses enforcement of the Uniform Building and Fire Code.
There's a lot that goes with it, obviously.
But there are some things in there, like just our existing code talks about having both a building inspector, a deputy building inspector, a code enforcement officer, a deputy code, which doesn't really exist. We got you. So it makes sense just, you're the code enforcement officer, and do away with this building inspector thing.
Well, we still have to specify building inspector, code enforcement, because it's technically 2 separate things with the state.
Really? Not according to that model local law.
That's in page 34.
In that local law, they don't reference a building inspector at all.
Yeah.
But look at it.
What the title is, yeah.
But we at least need to get rid of the deputies.
Yeah. Well, Jake's my deputy.
I'm his backup, so
I
that's why.
deputized him, so he's,
Yeah, just advance now.
yeah, yeah,
And a half.
yeah. But, I mean, with a lot of this, and,
The civil service title needs to change?
no, because it's all.
I think we need to go through the 36 pages.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but with it,
it's gonna take a little while.
yeah, and there's a lot with it. We can't be less restrictive than New York State codes, but we can be more restrictive. And there's I'll say a tiff between some of the state organization, or between some of the organizations and the state, because New York State is a self-rule state, but then the state's trying to force us to adopt this. So there's a lot going into it, but it's just easier to adopt it, and we're doing it anyway, to be honest with you,
We'll wait to see
Very good.
the evolution of this.
so. We will help you feel our pain with it.
Okay, anyone have that would bring up? I would mention that our next village board meeting is December 8th here in the boardroom. And again, I would remind everybody that we are looking at a, I believe it's a public hearing at 7:05, right? So,
You got that time, right?
Got that.
let's see. We had a good turnout, did we, for Veterans Day? Appreciate those who were working and handing food out
That
to
was
our
good.
veterans. Appreciate that.
Very good.
And I would mention that on December 3rd,
Yep.
Yep.
that's a Saturday, that there will be activities in the village. We are pleased to, I guess, announce that there will be a winter parade again, and also there will be activities in Veterans Park going on, sponsored by the Bid, and Santa will be arriving sometime around 3 o'clock, right? Somewhere in there,
2:45.
2:45.
Yes, and Main Street will also have programming.
When do the elves arrive?
We get there at like noon. Jake's an elf too.
The elves will be.
I think I lack a lot of the qualities that you can find in a normal elf. So I don't know how this is We'll see how that but then, when you mentioned the parade, it made me think we're working with the fire department's taking over, the parade itself, or again, working with the Bid, we're all meeting together. So that one of the things we're working with the police department, things for obviously set up and all that, it's gonna take a considerable amount of manpower for doing a lot of the barriers and barricades and things that we're gonna do, so. I've reached out to Pat at the town too, and he's agreed to, he's trying to figure out how many pieces of equipment he could provide for some of the hard barrier things that we need. And I expect it's a great community thing when everybody's working together to try to make this happen, so. I might even end up reaching out to the schools, see if we can get some buses, because they're pretty long, so. See what we can do there.
Or even the minibuses.
Not a terrible idea.
Yeah, I think TSA is involved too this year, so, and last year, so.
Community effort.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you said the TSA. The PTSA, okay.
She's like, wow,
I was like,
stepped up, we got some.
Legit.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, for the good of the order, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
and everybody have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
You too.
And enjoy family and friends.
Friends.
Thursday.
Enjoy your apple.
Enjoy the